Look, oil is now at a level that it was, I think it's even lower on a barrel basis than it was before we started. We've gotten concessions. Now, they have to hold those concessions, but there'll be no nuclear weapon. We're going to be getting the, as I call it, dust, the enriched material, nuclear dust, I call it. Seems to have taken off, but it's enriched material. We're getting it. We're getting it. I went in for one reason, very strongly, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I'm not looking for regime change, although this is regime change. The first regime is gone. The second regime is gone. And I think the third regime is more reasonable, but we'll find out. But we've destroyed their, as you know, completely destroyed 150. They had 159 ships. Every single ship is at the bottom of the sea. We've completely destroyed. They don't have one airplane. They don't have radar. You know, one of the reasons we kept the oil down, because a lot of people said, Kevin, and a lot of people were saying that oil could go to $300, $350 a barrel.
While President Trump projects toughness, he may not fully grasp the scope of what is confronting, as policymakers and intelligence analysts caution that public rhetoric can obscure the nuanced and concealed capabilities shaping the crisis. Beneath public posturing, Tehran has reportedly positioned fast, small craft and asymmetric naval units poised to exploit narrow waterways and swarm larger vessels, a capability that requires discreet monitoring and tailored contingency planning. Imagery and intelligence assessments indicate as many as 40 to 45 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps fast attack boats could be deployed to harass or attempt coordinated strikes on commercial shipping, creating high-risk scenarios for tanker transit through congested choke points. Recent satellite and surveillance photos revealed formations, launch ramps, and concealment sites for the small boat fleet, providing visual confirmation of an asymmetric maritime force that had previously been difficult to track. By massing low-cost platforms to saturate defenses, harass crews, and threaten fuel shipments, Tehran's swarm tactics have the potential to severely disrupt commercial traffic through critical straits and choke points, inflicting global economic pain even without engaging in full-scale naval battles. Satellite images dated July 6 show 40 to 45 IRGC speedboats operating in the Strait of Hormuz, with high-resolution photos revealing tightly packed formations and transit patterns that analysts say are consistent with coordinated patrols rather than isolated craft movements. One formation of IRGC speedboats was patrolling near commercial vessels on Iran's designated route, a posture that observers warn could be intended to signal control, intimidate merchant crews, or practice tactics for close-quarters harassment in a congested choke point. Images, taken by Sentinel-2, confirmed Iran's naval presence being operational in the strait, providing open-source visual evidence that supplements other reporting and helps triangulate the timing and disposition of the small boat units. The report has not been independently verified by Hindustan Times, and the outlet's reliance on satellite imagery and secondary sources means outside corroboration is needed before the full operational picture can be confirmed. No official confirmation has been issued by the US, Iran, or Israel, leaving key questions about intent, command relationships, and the precise scale of the deployments unresolved pending statements from the governments involved. The claims remain unverified and should be treated as allegations pending confirmation, with analysts urging caution in drawing firm conclusions until multiple intelligence streams and government disclosures are reconciled. Notably, the speedboats are part of Tehran's Mosquito fleet, deployed from sea caves and coastal bases, a dispersed logistics model that makes detection difficult and allows for rapid, low-signature launches into nearby shipping lanes. The Mosquito fleet is capable of swarming any vessel attempting to bypass Iranian control, using numbers, speed, and coordinated maneuvers to harass, disable, or board targets while complicating defensive responses from larger escorts. The revelation came as tankers were reportedly under attack in the Strait of Hormuz, an operational context that raises the possibility these small boat deployments are linked to a broader campaign of asymmetric pressure on commercial shipping. Remember, Iran and America signed a 14-point MOU to end the current war in the Mideast, a diplomatic framework intended to de-escalate hostilities even as maritime incidents continue to test the ceasefire's durability. The MOU reopens the Strait of Hormuz, eases US sanctions and ends the blockade on Iran, measures designed to restore commercial traffic and economic lifelines while providing incentives for both sides to adhere to the temporary settlement. The MOU set up a 60-day framework for a final agreement on Iran's nuclear program, establishing an expedited timetable for negotiators to resolve outstanding technical and political issues before moving toward a comprehensive, binding accord. Iran has effectively built two navies, a traditional force of frigates and submarines, and a parallel shadow fleet run by the IRGC. US Navy and Pentagon assessments say the IRGC Navy has now taken center stage in this conflict, overshadowing Iran's conventional ships. Iran has reportedly deployed a Mosquito fleet of small fast boats, armed drones and coastal missile batteries designed to work together. These boats can sprint at roughly 40 to 60 knots and be fitted with heavy machine guns, rockets, naval mines, or even small anti-ship missiles. Their size and wooden hulls make them hard to track on radar, easy to hide in coastal caves or fishing harbors, and cheap enough to lose in battle. Each fast boat can be sacrificed without major strategic loss, yet even a handful are enough to terrify shipowners and insurers watching Hormuz. Analysts say Iran doesn't need to control the sea in a classic sense. It just has to make the route dangerous enough that others hesitate to use it. A few drones and a few small boats, used cleverly, can choke the world's most strategic waterway at risk without formally sealing it shut. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 1/5 of the world's total oil supply, making even minor disruptions hugely consequential. Even brief disruption there becomes instant global leverage, and Tehran is clearly leaning on that power as it bargains with Washington and its neighbors. Alex Plitzers said, and I quote, "They call them mosquito fleets because they're small and annoying, and they hit. But they're enough to bite and be obnoxious. They've realized they don't have to actually mine the straits. A couple of drones and a couple of small boats have been able to choke the world's largest strategic waterway. At risk without actually permanently closing it, and wreaking havoc on the markets." Unquote. IRGC small boats are cheap for Iran to lose, but every skirmish they trigger is costly for global trade, naval deterrence, and energy prices. Amid a fragile truce, ships in the Strait of Hormuz were reportedly attacked, with multiple incidents of explosions, damage, and suspicious approaches heightening fears that the ceasefire may be fraying and commercial traffic remains at acute risk. A Saudi-flagged crude oil tanker was damaged near the Strait of Hormuz off the coast of Oman, Reuters reported. The incident on July 7 came just days after an earlier attack on a Qatari LNG tanker in the same strategic maritime corridor. Maritime security sources told Reuters that the exact cause of the explosion had not yet been determined. The damaged vessel was believed to be the Saudi-flagged supertanker Wedyang, according to the maritime security sources. Marine traffic tracking data showed the Wedyang was last recorded inside the Persian Gulf on July 3 before the incident. Iranian state television claimed the tanker was attacked because it was using Oman's side of the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, an Iranian lawmaker said any future arrangement for the Strait of Hormuz without Tehran's participation would fail. Alaeddin Boroujerdi said Iran had decided to change the framework governing the Strait of Hormuz after the recent war. Boroujerdi said Iran's parliament would move to approve legislation on managing the strategic waterway at the earliest opportunity. He added that all relevant Iranian state institutions would be required to implement the new measures governing the Strait of Hormuz.